Hello, hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Hard Choice Simple Steps for Showing Up. My name is Brad Draper. I am your host, and we're going to throw it back a little bit. We're going to go back to the first couple of episodes of this podcast to do a little bit of a refresher, a little bit of a reminder. And for those that started tuning in later on, midway through or so, we're about 2 years in, we're going to catch you up a little bit for those people that are going in reverse in time. I've been asked twice this week the same question. What principle or topic would I focus on early on in my entrepreneurship journey? If I were to start it over again, what would I focus on? AKA, these people that are asking me are fairly new in this journey called entrepreneurship. They've now left their careers or are in the phase of leaving their careers and want to know where to place their energy. Great question. And in fact, my business partner and I, call him my brother and I, we are putting together our workshop that we're doing at Utah Tech Week on January 30th, 2025. Super exciting. And this somewhat plays a role into what we're teaching. And this is the principle I would focus on. What do you do when your alarm goes off? What do you do? When that thing rings, whatever time frame you set it at, I set mine for 4:45. When that thing goes off, 4:45 hits, what do you do? Do you roll over, hit snooze? Do you roll over, turn it off, and go back to bed? Especially at 4:45? Or do you roll over, turn it off, and get out of bed? What do you do? What is your path naturally? And what do you do sometimes? There's always the caveat on your body needs more rest. Only you know what that is. Or you're giving yourself more rest because you're being lazy. But naturally, you set an alarm for a specific time for a reason, to get up and do the things you know you need to do. But when the time hits in the morning and push comes to shove, reality smacks you in the face, what is it that you actually do? Not what you want to do, because what you want to do was the thing where you set the alarm, right? But what you actually do? Do you get up when the alarm tells you to get up? Because you set that for a reason. For me, I set it at 4:45 so I can get up. I can drink my glass of water. It's actually 25 ounces. I can put my gym clothes on. I can take my pre-workout. I can do my morning meditations, which I do for 15 minutes before I leave in red light. And I drive to the gym. And I'm walking on the treadmill by 5:20. And I have about a 15-minute drive. 12-minute drive. So all of that compiled together makes for fairly paced out time frames. I'm doing everything at the exact same time. What do you do when the alarm goes off? And how would you like that to change? If you say, I snooze it because I'm tired, then you're not being honorable to yourself. You're not keeping your commitments. And for those that have previously listened to the show, making and keeping commitments with yourself is what confidence is. It's not the clothes you wear. It's not what you drive. It's not where you live. It's not how you talk. It's trust in yourself because you've made and kept a myriad of commitments throughout your whole life. And that starts right when the alarm clock goes off. Are you keeping the commitment you made to yourself the night before when you set it? Are you doing the things you know you need to do? Growing up, my mom, she had this statement. She said it all the time. So much so that she printed it out in the 90s, mind you. So this is like inkjet type printer. Takes an eternity to print a piece of paper. And on a full-size 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, she wrote, "Knowing and doing are two different things." She put it in a really cheap frame from Kmart. I've actually later confirmed it was Kmart. And she hung it in the kitchen. So you'd see it every day, all day. You passed through the kitchen, which was a main thoroughfare in the house. You saw this. Knowing and doing are two different things. So growing up, my mom would scream, "Brad, you got to do the laundry. Brad, you got to throw the trash out. Brad, you got to make dinner. Brad, you got to do the dishes." Whatever my chore was that day. And if I responded with, "I know, Mom," she will respond back with, "Knowing and doing are two different things, Brad. So go and do," versus just know. And if you record back or roll back 4 minutes on this podcast episode, you will hear me say, "You know what you need to do." I know, Mom. I know, Brad. I know whoever you're talking to. But doing. You know what time you need to get up. But do you actually do it? Knowing and doing are two different things. As I've said over this last 100 and something episodes, where you focus, you find. Your thoughts precede your actions, and your actions precede your opportunities. My thoughts of wanting to get up at 4:45 lead to the action of being able to do that and getting to the gym before the crowd and getting all my meditations and my journaling and my reading, all that stuff done before 7 a.m. when the rest of the world wakes up. I do all that before then. And that creates the opportunity of having more time in the day. I'm more efficient. Fun fact, for every 1 hour you wake up earlier, we're going to say for the sake of this episode, the world wakes up at 7. If you wake up at 6, 1 hour before, you are operating 15 more days a year. I want you to think about that. 1 hour, you have 15 more working days. And by the way, this is right when you wake up, which is the most efficient type of time you have. You have no one bothering you. You have nothing getting in the way. You have nothing to sidetrack you with. Efficient. 15 days. You get up 2 hours before. If you get up at 5, you are operating on a 13-month year, pardon me, compared to everyone else. The rest of the world that gets up at 7, they operate on 12 months. You operate on 13 months. You have 30 highly efficient days greater than your competition. Interesting. Now you can see why when I wake up at 4:45, I get nutrition, protein drinks, journaling, meditation, reading, fitness, all done before the world wakes up. And yeah, that takes a little over 2 hours. So if the world were to start that, it's going to take 2 and change hours out of their day. They wouldn't be done until 9:30 if they started right at 7 and they didn't have to be to work by 9, right? It is imperative that you do, that you act, because those actions create the opportunities in your life. You can sit back and say, I can't do that. I don't have the ability to do that. I can't wake up that early. Well, that depends on what time you go to bed and how groggy you want to be throughout the day. If you go to bed at 1, 2, or 3 in the morning, 5 or 6 is going to be pretty tough. But if you went to bed at 8, 9, or 10, well, you could easily do 4, 5, or 6. It all depends on what you want out of life. And what are you willing to acquire it? Knowing and doing are two different things. What do you do when the alarm clock goes off? If you hit snooze, you are snoozing on your life. If you turn it off, you're turning off opportunities. And even more importantly, if you turn it off or you hit snooze, you are losing and saying screw you to your confidence. And then you wonder why you have no confidence. You can't even make the simple promise of get out of bed. You have these opportunities each and every day. Make promises, keep promises. Man, go make a promise to eat a bowl of Cheerios tomorrow and then eat a bowl of Cheerios. It doesn't really matter what the promise is. The unconscious mind doesn't care. It does care that you make promises and you keep them. And if you don't do this very often or you're new to this confidence thing, don't go set a gargantuan goal of I'm going to go work out for 2 hours a day, 7 days a week for the next 5 years. Start small. If you wake up at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, say I'm going to wake up at 7:30 or 8 o'clock when my alarm goes off. And then after you can do that consistently and normally, back it off by 15 minutes. Don't try and say, I get up at 7, tomorrow I'm getting up at 5. And I'm going to just get up at 5 from now on. You're going to have a really tough time. Be logical. Be analytical. Be intentional. Do things in proper sequence, proper order to increase the ability or possibility of winning. We always say we have time. We don't actually have time. Your next moment's not guaranteed. But you can't do everything in a moment either. So do all that you can. No more, no less. And it's the compound effect. Day in, day out. Just keep on going. Keep on stepping. Referring back to my Misogi episode, if you keep on walking, one foot in front of the other, at some point the sun is going to rise. At some point you're going to make it to the end of this specific journey, this specific season, this specific race. And a new race, a new season, and a new journey will begin. Whatever you're going through right now, difficulty, hardship, bliss, or satisfaction, this season will end, and you will go on to a new season at some point, once you have extracted all of the learnings from this current season. But that comes down to, are you doing the things that you know, not just knowing what you need to do? I'm going to say that again. Are you doing the things that you know, or do you simply know the things you need to do? Ponder on that. Think on that. And then do something about it. My wife ran into somebody that he's down, I think he said 11 pounds. That's awesome. He's doing a fitness thing. He's moving forward. And he stated it all started several years ago. I think we're talking like 6 or 7 years ago. I was speaking with him after one of Michaela's events. And I don't recall saying this, but it's very much so something I would say because I say it to people often. He was complaining about something, and I said, don't be a pussy. That's it. And apparently that's what triggered it. Growing up, my parents had a Smith machine that I would work out with, one of those home gym multi-fitness things. And I printed on a piece of paper. Kind of runs in the family, right? My mom prints on paper. I print on paper. I printed on a piece of paper, don't be a pussy, and I put it on the ceiling. So when I was bench pressing, the only thing I had to look at was that sign. And I would rep out a few more reps because I would see that and be like, okay, here we go. Do the things you know you need to do. Start tomorrow morning with getting out of bed when the alarm clock goes off and go from there. Share this episode with your friends, your family, your loved ones, those people you know, and even the people you don't know. Just share it because that's how this episode and this show grows. I'm grateful for you. You can find me on social media, Mr. Brad Draper. I am so easy to get a hold of. Leave me a comment, leave me a review, leave me a message. Let's have a conversation. Like this thing, subscribe to it to download it for future listenings. Until next week, I love you guys. Bye.